Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Home Defense Shakedown. My name's Todd, and I think I have a fun subject for this video. Of course, you're going to be the judge of that. I was out at a client's house. It was a husband and wife. They did have young kids, early teens. They weren't there. The parents were kind of like, we kind of want to go through this together as a couple team before we involve our kids. And of course, we'll ask you, Todd, how to approach this with the kids, and we'll run through some stuff privately after when you're not here. And then if it goes really well, then we'll bring you back, which I thought was a great plan. So it was just the two of them. The husband went twice, the first two scenarios. And then the wife stepped up and said, look, sometimes he's gone on hunting trips and sometimes he's doing other stuff where he's gone for a couple of days. And I'm here all by myself. So I really want to go through some scenarios with me being the lead. And I thought that was awesome. I always love it when the wives step up and they want to be really active in the training. So of course I said yes. And we talked about a few things that she had questions about before we started. And she really felt like she had a grasp of what was going on. So we start the scenarios where they would be at that time of night. So it's 2 o'clock in the morning kind of thing. So of course they started in the master bedroom, and I left them there and went out and I set up the scenario and I started the scenario, and it kind of laid out like this. When I do the scenarios, I always try to make it custom for the couple that I'm in the house that I'm in. So they're always different. And I had a feeling that the wife had a vulnerability, and that vulnerability is that she was going to be indecisive. So I wanted to see if I could get her, manipulate her to do what I wanted her to do, which is the opposite typically of what she should have done. So I had a knife in this scenario. She came around, she did a really good job of moving to get into her spot. I kind of approached her, probably 20 feet of distance. She spotted me and put the flashlight on me, told me to stop. And that's when I showed her the weapon slowly. And I explained to her, and of course I'm kind of sweetening it up, making it the PG version for the video here. But I explained to her as I showed her the knife that I was going to hurt her. And after I was done hurting her, I was going to hurt her kids. And then I knew that it was just her in the house. And if she dropped the weapon, I would leave. But if she continued to point that weapon at me, I'm going to hurt her in so many different ways. And that she's going to regret that decision. And she did. She hesitated. She, at one point, brought the weapon down as I continued to creep towards her. And I ended up just calling the scenario quit, because done at about 10 feet from her. Because I figured I could breach that distance and I could take control of the situation as the bad guy. And she was noticeably shaken. She didn't expect that. It wasn't something that I had thrown on her husband earlier, where she was part of the debriefing. I never gave him an option or communicated with him quite the same way I did with her. I explained to her that women and men are different. Men treat women differently than men treat men. And a lot of times men, especially men that are screwed up enough in the head to break into somebody's home, they're going to try to manipulate the females in the house. That male might be there with the sole purpose of violating her and controlling her, because it's ultimately a control thing. And she just wasn't expecting it. She hesitated. So we had a conversation about it, and I explained to her, I asked her, why didn't you? And she explained to me that for a moment she hesitated because she thought, well, maybe if I do put the weapon down, maybe that would make him go away. Because the idea of her squeezing that trigger and taking someone's life was something that she really didn't want to have to address. She didn't want to deal with that. She had seen in the previous scenarios where I had been shot, her husband had been shot. She saw the welt on her husband's chest. She knew that when she pulled that trigger, it was going to inflict pain on someone. And she got confused. She froze. It was a good thing to happen. She was really devastated and upset with how she reacted to that. And I explained to her, well, that's why we're doing this. That's why I put her in that situation, so that she could, in a safe way, go through that decision-making process. And so we did several other scenarios. Again, not quite the same, but I tried to do something along the same lines, manipulate her verbally, and she did excellent. She kind of drew her line in the sand and said, you know what? If this guy is not going to listen to me and he's going to continue to do this, then I'm going to have to stop the problem. And so she did excellent. But that's something to think about, and I thought I would share that with you. I had her permission to share that with you. It's something that you don't get at the range. You have to get it in situations like this. There's no other way to train through this unless you have a live scenario playing out in front of you. Having to make that instant decision is tough. And there's no way that you can train yourself to be more proficient at making those decisions unless you're in that environment. So I encourage everybody to give us a call. Let us know what's, that you would like us to come out. We'll arrange a time for you to come out, or go on to our website, homedefenseshakedown.com. You can actually make your reservation right there. And until we actually meet, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.